Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I've been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't belabor like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low, but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my broom, vroom. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are doubting, I dare the show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shootin' this breaks, I'm going in. Ain't a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen them down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet them at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on babe. I don't flex but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told them this would happen and we not a minute late. Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go. At the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, we got the pullback to our huge key level of support, or at least the top of that key zone of support, which was sitting between $112,000 and $110,000. And over the weekend, we did get that continuation down as money flow was pointing towards. The question is the bottom in, or are we going to come up and put one of those lower highs in for a lower low, for a drop down to some lower prices? I'm going to cover everything with you guys here on the live stream. We finally saw that pullback to 112 to 110K, which we have been looking for. I don't know. Somebody put a date on it. Forever, guys. Looking for that drop down, not getting scared, but looking for that level to come in as support. And as we have tapped that structural support at $112,000, guys, excuse me, I want to talk about the possibility of the bottom being in. We'll talk about some things that look good, some things that still need a little bit of work in order to look up to higher prices. But I'm going to give you guys my overall trading plan, what I'm looking at, the key levels on where we're looking for bounces and rejections. And yeah, we'll give you the bullish case, the bearish case, and I'll let you guys know which way I'm leaning, and hopefully we could get it as close as we have been recently here. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Drop a candle in the chat if you were not scared on that drop to the downside, because you knew that it was very likely to get that push into support. Let me know if you guys have been here and if you saw that coming, just like I did. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. Guys, we got Jesse, our light police, in here, who, along with Captain Kirk, they both got into motorcycle accidents very close to each other, which is very kind of weird. But shout out to Captain Kirk and shout out to Jesse, guys. Wish them a speedy recovery and smash the like button for them, because it will increase the rapid rejuvenation of their injuries. Shout out to Jesse and Captain. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Cap, I did see you texting me. I didn't have a chance to look at it, but I will answer you after the stream. But shout out to Jesse. Good to see you in here, bro. I hope you're feeling okay, and I do genuinely wish you a speedy recovery. So shout out to Jesse, guys. We're going to need some help with the like police today. He's yeah, he's going to need all the backup he can get. But shout out to everybody in here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Yo, shout out to Mr. Cal. He says, Frankie just said the bottom is in. Let's all FOMO long. Let's go. JK. Shout out to Michael McCallie. Not a trade signal, guys. Not a trade signal. But as always, guys, I'll show you there are some things on the medium time frames that could point towards a lower high. But you guys will have, after this stream, you guys will have all the key levels, all the money flow analysis, and everything you need to know for the next move on Bitcoin. So shout out to everybody. Let's see. Smash that like button, fam. Do it for Frankie Candles. Shout out to Lord Bra, what is going on, man? Welcome in. We got Hotto Crypto in the chat saying get well soon. Show him some love in the chat, guys. Cap and Jesse help us out so much, as well as the other mods. So yeah, wish him a speedy recovery. We got Peter Post in the chat. What is going on? Said, can we take a look at INJ? Yes, we'll take a look at some of the altcoins as well. I will try to take a look at INJ for you. Nirvana says 1K likes equals 1 HP in recovery. Let's go. Shout out to Nirvana. Crypto Billy in the chat, guys. I will be on Billy Goat Tales tomorrow at 8 p.m. Correct me if I'm wrong on those times, Billy, because I know you did change them. So shout out to Crypto Billy, guys. Stay tuned. I will be on Billy's X space, or Twitter space as I like to call them. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great time. We got Monkey in the chat. Say, yo, Jersey in the house. Shout out to Monkey. Welcome in, bro. We got DK Insight. What is going on? Said, not sure about the cuts in September, despite higher probability. Yeah, we will take a look at that, guys. Are we going to get the rate cuts in September? Well, the predictions as of right now would say there is about an 87% chance of that. We will see that change as we get closer to FOMC. Hopefully we could get it. This would be what we need to see the liquidity flow into altcoins, finally see Bitcoin rip up into its final top, which is kind of my thesis here long term. So shout out to Base Bailey in the chat. What is going on? Coin Hoover said, I was panic buying. Shout out to Coin Hoover. Welcome in. Gen Z said, when ETH? We're going to jump into ETH in just a minute here. But without further ado, guys, thank you for being here. Smash that like button, and let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So here we are, guys. And just to kind of point out, I never do this to brag. I never do this to say, look, we were right again, right? I don't like doing that. But I will just say, as we have been anticipating, the breakdown of this range to see that bigger push into our key level between $112,000 and $110,000. We did get that drop down. We identified that we had money flow coming out on some key time frames last week, such as the 4-hour time frame. You can see we did have that crossover right about here, indicating that we would likely get that continuation to the downside. And we also, just generally looking at this money flow trending down over time, did indicate that there was a much higher probability of getting a rejection out of this range and then seeing the drop down to those next big key levels of support, where we had the CME gap as well as some other key levels of support. We had the CME gap down here at about 114K, and then once we lost that 786, guys, that was the line in the sand to look down towards our bigger level of support, which was sitting down here between $112,000 and $110,000 between the structural highs here. Pulled from the top of this candle here at about 112.1, or actually, no, this was sitting at about 112.55. And then, we do have some confluence in this zone in case we do come back down. I will cover that all with you guys today. But, once we lost that 786, we were looking to definitely come down at least to the top of this box, if not potentially even deeper. But you guys can see here, what did we do? We lost the 786. We pushed down to that next zone of support, held those structural highs. We had a nice little low time frame SFP and some bullish divergences down here giving us the bounce. We actually did have a long setup here in the premium Discord. Of course, Bitcoin, it does seem to be a little bit of a trend here. It does like to move on the weekends when the one time where Frankie Candles tries to step away from the charts. So unfortunately, I'm not long from here. But we did have the setup there, and I will kind of have to wait for some kind of a retracement to try to get back into a long position here to the upside. I'll try to break down somewhat of a scenario where we could look for that. But the question here is, guys, all right. We looked for the drop to the downside. The money flow was calling for it. We finally got the tap of support. And now the real question is the bottom in, Frankie? Are we going up? Are we going for all-time highs? Is it finally about to happen? Well, there are some mixed signs on the chart. I would say short term here on the lower time frames on Market Cypher B. We could potentially look for a little continuation up here. Now, why do I say that? Well, very clearly, we do have that daily green dot printing with our beautiful, beautiful 80-minute and 90-minute money flow crossing over into the green here. You can see we did get that. Let's see, here at about 8 a.m., we got that money flow crossover, indicating a trend to the upside locally here on the 80-minute, and we did wind up getting that, a little cruise to the upside. We are currently rejecting a daily MPOC here, as you can see, sitting at about 115,687, so if you're wondering why we're getting a little turbulence there, probably because that daily MPOC was sitting there, but I would say, I'll go over kind of like the bullish case and the continuation up, and then we'll talk about the potential for the lower high and the lower low. I will say, as I've been talking about recently here, guys, I was cautiously pessimistic, right? Saying, is it possible to just kind of like yeet on to higher prices? Sure, anything is possible, but all of the TA was pointing for lower prices. And as always, right, as I would say about 80% of the time, the charts were 100% correct in calling that move to the downside. So we did see that play out, which is very, very nice. And that is part of the reason why I was cautiously pessimistic, right? I was like aware that we could just kind of send it to the upside, but as the TA was pointing down, we were very, very, very pessimistic, just being careful of a potential scam pump to the upside. But obviously the TA wound up working out. And I would say at this point, guys, short term, I am cautiously now optimistic, right? Looking for a potential continuation up off of the signals that I just talked about, the daily green dot, the money flow crossover into the green. Let me just go ahead and silence my phone here real quick. Bada boom, bada bing. And let me just turn all of this off so we don't have to listen to any more notifications. Bada boom. There we go. Okay, so I am going to be a little bit cautiously optimistic here at this point, guys, because at the end of the day, this would be the shallowest of the retracement that I would look for, right? We did tap into that key level of support, but we did only tap the top of this level, right? Those structural highs. We do still have some key support in here. We have a daily MPOC. I'll cover those levels in just a minute. But with the 90-minute money flow crossover into the green, if we could see this kind of continue to trend up here, right? The local trend may be able to continue to the upside. The one thing here is that we do have a lot of resistance above, right? Anytime we break down out of a range like this, we do have to be aware of the fact that, sure, we broke down out of the range, but we could potentially just get a little bit of a relief rally, right, to potentially put in a lower high and then another lower low to push deeper into this support zone. I would say the 90 and 80-minute money flow crossover with the daily green dot looks pretty good for a potential continuation up to some of these higher prices. I will bring up some technical levels that we have up here, some confluence, and kind of the context of like that lower high and lower low coming in. We'll even go over the line in the sand that would invalidate the lower high, in my opinion, and call for higher prices. But we do still have to be aware here, right? We've broken down out of the range. This value area low sitting at about $117,000 is going to be resistance, right, until proven otherwise. And at the end of the day, we could even sneak back up here when I start bringing up the other confluence. We might be able to sneak up inside this volume profile before finally coming down to put in that lower low, right? We've been using this older range, right, this macro range that we had back in February as kind of like a very similar situation, right? We had the bing bong sideways, we had the money flow coming out, indicating the break to the downside. And I would say, if I were still comparing this to this sideways range, I would kind of say we're somewhere in here, right, where we could be retracing into that value area low, right? But why were we actually looking for short positions back in the day back here? Well, it just had to do with the fact that we did have our Fibonacci 786. Golden pocket retracement on that value area low. Big zone of resistance until proven otherwise, right? If we were able to flip this level, we might have been able to rotate the profile. But with our money flow that was coming out here on the daily, right, we were looking for lower highs and lower lows, and that is exactly what we got, right? So it's a very, very similar situation here, just on a lower time frame as we've been looking at, right? Looking for the breakdown of the range to retest the structural highs. Technically, it could be the bottom, right? It could be the bottom, but with the way our higher time frame money flow, and this might be a little confusing to some new people because we have the daily green dot with the 80 and 90-minute money flow coming up, but as of right now, I would still be very cautious of that giving a local continuation up for that potential lower high and lower low, and I will pull up the Fibonacci retracement levels, which do come in almost in the exact same levels that I just brought up right here, but when we look at our medium time frame money flow or a higher time frame money flow, looking at the 8-hour, right, we do have money flow attempting to come back into the green here, or at least coming up towards that zero line. But you got to be careful, right, because all it takes is this VWAP to come down, give us a red dot, and this money flow wave could easily drag back into the red. So this is kind of why I say cautiously optimistic, because still I would say if you're looking for this to be the bottom before shooting up into new all-time highs, I would never say this is impossible, but you are hoping for this money flow, not only on the 8-hour to come back into the green, but even if we come up here to like the 12-hour, you guys can see here, sure, money flow is coming up locally, but at the end of the day, we have a high, a lower high, a lower high, and this could just end up being another lower high if we get that VWAP to come down, give us the red dot. So you still do have to kind of anticipate a fake out on money flow to see all-time highs from this being the bottom. There is an opportunity for that to be the case, but we cannot ignore that, every time we see money flow come up locally here, it's like, hey, guys, this is an okay sign locally, but at the end of the day, it could just be a lower high. We are in that same exact situation right now. If this continues to trend out, we have to anticipate lower highs and lower lows, which, if it does happen, it's not the end of the world, guys. I'm not going to be calling for the bear market, right? We might just have to dig a little deeper into this major support zone. Like I said, we just barely tapped the top of that zone. I mean, the TA is just absolutely magical, guys. These are not just magic lines on the chart that are drawn randomly. There are very, very specific reasons that we look for these levels, and this had to do with the structure. And if we did wind up putting in a lower high and a lower low, we do have some other support down here, value area high at about 110K, and then we also do have a daily MPOC sitting right in the middle of that, sitting at about 111,150. So if we do get the lower high, and we'll talk about those key levels that I'll be watching on the way up, if we do get the lower high, whether it comes in here or up here, we can look for that daily MPOC to be the next technical level of support inside of our support zone, sitting at 111,120. If we lose that level, right? If we come on down there, we put in the lower low, and we are unable, right? Maybe we come back up. Money flow still looks like garbage. Maybe the 12 hours crossing into the red. At that point, we could still look for a continuation of the move to the downside, where I will be looking at the value area high. Still remains a key level of support at about $110,000. And then if we get accepted into this range, that last line of defense that I will be watching is the same as last week, sitting here on the golden pocket, daily MPOC, and point of control of the range, sitting between 108 and call it 106,851, right? Pretty much want to hold that 108 to $107,000 zone. Once we lose this golden pocket, guys, I've covered this almost every single live stream. Can you lose this golden pocket? You might say to yourself, well, Frankie, what about the 786? Isn't that a place we can bounce as well? Yes, but if you've watched the show, you will know I've covered this many a times. If we go down to that 786, which sits here at about 103.5, just understand that if we come down to that 103.5 zone, you could bounce, right? It is a 786, but you are going to be potentially getting accepted into your macro value area, right? If you can't get out of that macro value area high at 105,800 or 105,750, that does potentially open the door to a much bigger drop to the downside. But there is a possibility to come down here and bounce. We have to assess this price action as it comes into that level. If it looks good for a bounce, well, hey, maybe we could take that position, look to get above that value area high, and then maybe that's the higher low for a higher high, which would mean that we are eventually going to crack into new all-time highs. But long-term, guys, we are literally right on track for exactly what we've been looking for. We have just come down to that first key level of support, which is those structural highs. Definitely an opportunity for a higher low. And we also did have our golden pocket retracement. Whoops. Right? This was not just the structural highs. It was also complement with our golden pocket retracement, which we have come into as well. So definitely our first major opportunity to get a bounce here. Just understand, we really need this money flow to start shaping up to see that bigger continuation to the upside. Because I would say right now, as far as the bullish money flow, it is on the lower time frames, which could just indicate a continuation of that bounce for a lower high and eventual lower low, right? Low time frame money flow might be pointing towards this, but if that high time frame money flow does not skirt back to the upside in an aggressive manner, like the 12-hour, the 8-hour, etc., right, we could be looking for that lower high and that lower low. So you're still kind of hoping for that fake out. And again, just to bring it up one more time, very similar to this range on a higher time frame, right? This is a higher time frame. What we're looking at is a lower time frame, right? You might say this like, oh my God, we're bouncing. Is the bottom in? And it's like, well, it could be. It could be, but you still have to get above those retracement levels. And again, here you had clear money flow coming out, right? If we had come up above this 786, started flipping the POC, and our daily money flow was, yeeting off into the green, then maybe you could look for the bigger continuation up. But until that's the case, the low or the high, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low is more likely. So I am going to be viewing the market through those lenses and pretty much hoping, right, for the bullish case, for that money flow to just fake out back into the green. But I don't typically fade the indicators like that, guys. We have to take this at face value, just like we did on the 4-hour, right? Was there a possibility that we could fake out back into the green here? We did already get, you can see, fake out into the red. But what did we say when we saw this? We said, well, hey, we already spent a ton of time in the green. It might be time for that to cross over into the red. So could that have been a fake out? Yes. But is that what we went with? Absolutely not. We were anticipating those lower prices, and that has everything to do with taking the indicators at face value and understanding that they are not just the indicators, but the TA is going to be right more often than it's not. And what happens? You get the continuation to the downside. So if we get the continued bounce here, guys, I want to talk about some local levels of support that we could look at on the way up for potential lower highs to come in. Now, number one, like I said, we are rejecting the daily MPOC here. And when we take a look at some of the higher levels, I will pull up that previous volume profile that we just broke down out of, right? This value area low is going to be a big level of resistance, right? Because this could be resistance even if we peak up, just like we did back here. We creeped into the value area, but again, that money flow was coming out, so you look for the lower high and the lower low. You can even potentially creep into this volume profile, and I'll show you the technical levels if we pull our fib from this lower high to the low. Let me just make sure that is the actual lower high. Yeah, right here. There's two major zones I'm going to be looking at, right? Value area low, local Fibonacci retracement. This is sitting between, I'll call it 786 to the golden pocket. This is going to be sitting between about 117,367 and 116,234. This is major zone of resistance number one. If we're going to put in a lower high, and we don't put it in right where we're at right now, which I would think there is a possibility of continuing up based off that 90 and 80-minute money flow, if we do get the big move up, all right, or a continuation up, I should say, this is that first major zone to put in the lower high, retest the range low before putting in a lower high and continuing down, which would, again, push us down into those bigger key levels of support that I just went over. Now, if we get above that 786, The last place that I would really be looking is going to be the point of control, because if we pull from this high to the low, you can see the 786 is confluent with the POC. So these are going to be the two biggest levels of resistance that I am watching. If we don't put in a lower high here, right, we start cracking above that value area low, right, at the end of the day, that last level to look at is going to be the 786, right? And now this isn't even our full pull from the high all the way to the low. You guys can see this Fibonacci. Where am I at right now? I'm going to have to update this, right? This is obviously moved down. So let me get rid of that, and I will just update this slightly. Pull that. I'm just going to pull to the value area high for now. But I will just say, let me take this golden pocket off the chart to clean things up. This 786 is going to be huge, right? Because if we're going to come up here and put in a lower high, I would not want to see the POC broken. If the POC breaks, I think it's much higher probability. Remember, we have a lot of liquidity sitting above $120,000. If we flip this POC and we do not put in the lower high here, I would think, personally, the higher probability is to see the sweep of liquidity above the highs, right? Coming up above 120K, when we take a look at those liquidation heat maps, let me pull up the 2-week real quick, let that load up, take a sip of that black coffee. Let's see. Come on, load up. There we go, right? So if I pull this up, you guys can see we have a ton of liquidity sitting above about $120,000, leading us all the way up to 121.5. This is the same zone of liquidity that we've been looking at between these highs at 120K all the way up to about 121.5, which sits just above this 786 at this point. And I would say flipping that POC, this is sitting at about $118,000. Technically, the POC sits at about 118,250. But again, if we're looking at this from a lower high, lower low scenario, I would say these are the two biggest levels to look at, tangibly, right? Like the closer levels. And then if we flip that POC, I think it's probably a higher probability to come up and sweep that value area high. And then at that point, we will assess the information that we have on the charts, look at money flow. Is it faking back out into the green? If so, this is your line in the sand, guys, for new all-time highs, in my personal opinion. $120,850, right? So I would say money flow in the medium time frames is probably calling for this to be the higher probability. But if when we get up there, we see that money flow coming back into the green, I would say the sweep of liquidity is a higher probability at that point, right? That's your line in the sand. And then up here, we will be looking for short positions, but it's going to be a little bit sketchy, in my opinion, because it might get very squeezy in this area. I talked about this last week. I would not be surprised if I get stopped out of a few shorts up here, but that would be totally fine, right? Because, if we break above it, we're just going to send it back up to all-time highs. In my own personal opinion, we do have a daily MPOC up here at 122,700. It's a low-tick MPOC, so I'm not putting a ton of weight on that, to be honest. So I would still just look at that 786, $120,805 being the line in the sand. We get above there, hold it as support. What does this do? Well, it invalidates the entire idea of a lower high coming in, and that would open up the door to new all-time highs, where I would personally be targeting about $125,000. But we still have a lot of work to do, guys, because we have a lot of confluence on this POC. It's not just the point of control. It's not just the local 786 retracement. But if we start looking at some of our other key horizontal levels, you can see we do have a daily MPOC in there. We also have a monthly MPOC sitting in there as well. So this is a lot of resistance, guys. This is strong resistance, which is a bummer when you're looking for a move to the upside, but it also kind of gives you that line in the sand. Flip that monthly MPOC. That liquidity above is likely going to get taken, and the fact that you're holding that monthly MPOC as support, I would think, right? Like there's a decent probability, especially with where we are in the cycle, right, that you could potentially break that 786 and come into all-time highs. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, but at this point, we have come down directly into that key level of support. We got the nice bounce. We got the bullish confirmations. And at this point, with the 90 and 80-minute money flow, I do think if you can continue up, these are going to be the big levels to watch. So just for easy numerical values here, 118,000 to 118,400 at the POC. That's your line in the sand. And then locally, you have this next zone near your local Fibonacci retracement, value area low. You also have your anchored VWAP in here, sitting between 116,234 and 116,367. So I would say medium time frame money flow, if it doesn't start to shape up, this looks possible, right? If we flip that 786, that would make me feel a little bit more bullish to come take the liquidity. And then at that point, how squeezy is it, right? Are we going to be able to squeak out into all-time highs? So that's what I'm looking at as far as Bitcoin right now, guys. Those are the key levels to the upside to watch. 90-minute money flow. Let's see if we can get that continuation up for a correction down, guys. I'm not going to cover the exact long setup that I will be looking for, but I would not hate if we can get a little bit more of a retracement here to potentially find an entry on a higher low to then just continue our overall trend up. I am not in a long position. Like I said, we did have the setup here in the Discord, but I just wasn't at the computer. Didn't FOMO in. So I just simply wait for those next key levels. So I would prefer personally and emotionally for a little bit of a pullback. If we don't get it, I'm totally fine with that. Obviously, I'll just catch another entry. But I would like to see a little bit of a push to the downside. I would say losing this daily MPOC at about 113,637. That's the level I don't really want to lose, right? Locally, if we get that 4-hour red dot, which does look like it may want to print somewhat soon here, if we get that red dot, I think that's your best chance to get another retracement to the downside. Hopefully, I can find a long entry down there to catch in because, again, I'm not getting at the bottom. But again, notice I am not FOMOing into a long position here. If it goes, I'm totally fine with that, right? Missed gains are none of your business. I say this time and time again, but this is going to be the key level that we don't want to lose. 113,637, lose that daily MPOC. I think the lower low is going to be likely, in which case we'll just look down towards that bigger level of support on our lower volume profile. All those key levels I just went over. So that's what I'm looking at here, guys. I will say, I mean, it's nice that we were able to see that move to the downside before it happened. But now, our goal here is to hopefully, not get a lower high. Although, again, higher time frame money flow. Even the 4 hours faking out back into the green here. But just understand, all it takes is this red dot to give us a good dump, and that money flow is back in the red, right? And then when you look at the 12-hour, it's like that 12 hours just right now generally trending down, right? So the 4 hour is going to be a little bit more noisy on money flow. The 12-hour kind of smooths that out. So because of the medium time frame money flow, I would say lower highs and lower lows are still in the cards. But if we can squeak above that POC, that is simply where I'll be looking up towards those higher prices. And then, could you short this? I mean, we will be looking for shorts, but I do think it's going to be a little bit of it's going to be a battle up there. It's going to be a hard trading situation in my own personal opinion. So that's what we're looking for. We got the move down. Can 112K be the bottom? I think it's possible. I don't hate the low, but still got to watch that money flow on the higher time frames to fake out back into the green, which is not impossible. Hopefully we can get that and get this thing started sooner than later. And when we take a look at the Fed Watch tool, guys, as you know, we've been looking at the potential rate cuts. I was not in the camp of expecting rate cuts in July. The predictions were pretty high at some point, but then they changed. But I never really anticipated it in July. I think it's a little too early. I think September meeting is really the one to watch. That's where I think we're going to very likely get the rate cuts. And if you check out the Fed Watch tool here, you can see there's an 87 almost 88% chance that we're going to get a rate cut. This can change over time, right? So we'll keep an eye on this as price action develops. But at this point, right, this is as good of a situation as you could be in as far as the predictions go for rate cuts in September. And it would be right on time, guys. It would be right on time to see those rate cuts come in. My longer-term scenario still remains the same, right? Not freaking out over this correction, right? We've been having the Mafia prepared for this. Tap into the structural highs, maybe even a little bit deeper. But overall thought process, higher low, higher high. And then hopefully, if we get those rate cuts, we can start putting Bitcoin into new all-time highs. The real FOMO starts. The retail, the true retail, comes back in. They start talking about buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But we know that there is very likely a Bitcoin top being formed. And then if we can get those altcoins to run, that is typically that grand finale of the bull market where we see that explosive altcoin season that everybody is waiting for. And as far as the altcoin charts, guys, Ethereum actually looking pretty strong here in my own personal opinion. And, even if we got the bigger pullback, there's still room to come down here. 2-day money flow, right? This is one of the big signals we looked at on the altcoins to anticipate a continuation of the uptrend. And what was pretty much our bias here is hey, we have the value area high. This is our first big zone of support. And, we're going to be looking long-term based off the 2-day money flow being the green. This will indicate the higher time frame trend almost every single time. Maybe the low is in and we could just keep cooking to the upside. And I do actually want to dig into Ethereum a little bit here because there's a lot of really good stuff to look at. But 2-day money flow in the green, like these pullbacks are not to be worried about, right? I say this almost every single live stream, right? When the money flows in the green, these 2-day red dots can give you the pullback, but you're going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs. We're not 100% sure yet if it's going to come in here, or we have to go for that bigger retracement, potentially down into a $3,000 to retest these range highs into the golden pocket. But even a pullback like this, as long as that 2-day money flow stays in the green, which it looks like it could, it would still be looked at as higher lows and higher highs as we anticipate the final stages of this bull market, right? And my sentiment remains exactly the same. I'm not going to flip-flop on this. If there was a reason to flip-flop, I totally would based off the charts. But as of right now, things still look pretty good, right? Not only for, pretty much for the altcoins, right? Ethereum gets the big move up. Obviously, Ethereum's going to be the first mover. You have Litecoin, BNB, XRP, a lot of the first movers are starting to get those big moves up. And I do think if we can keep this going, It's only expected to see that leak into the other altcoins as price action develops. And when we take a look at Bitcoin dominance, right, this was not unanticipated, the correction on altcoins, right? Because we came down to that value area low on Bitcoin dominance. We know this is support. Doesn't mean you have to bounce back into the value area high, but this could cause turbulence, right? Just like it did back in 2021. We get rid of these brushes. Whoops. Bada boom. Bada bing, right? Just like in 2021, like we look at every single stream, you get the bounces off the value area low. This is going to give you turbulence on altcoins, but money flow is trending out. That means that you're very likely to break down below this range and hopefully start that alt season, right? Like we've seen in the past. And when we look at the current price action, we're approaching that value area low. We're getting a little bounce. It's okay. Those little pullbacks are no big deal. But 2-day money flow, pretty healthily trending out here. You even have your VWAP rolling over. That next 2-day red dot on dominance may be able to send this thing back down, right? Looking for that 2-day money flow crossover, and your daily money flow is also in the red. And you are printing a daily red dot here on dominance as well. Is that a beautiful blood diamond? Give me the blood diamond. Oh, man. Last blood diamond gave us the big spill. If we can get that blood diamond to print here, that would be a nice confirmation. But again, just in general, daily money flow in the red, 2-day money flow. Even if this daily money flow fakes back out into the green, the 2-day money flow still looks like it wants to come down. So, you might just have to endure a little bit of turbulence here as we've been expecting. But eventually, if that money flow stays out, right, or continues trending to the downside, break down out of that range, start the big old dump on dominance, and that's going to be very good for altcoins, right? That could be the start of the alt season, and, we have a little bit left, right? We still have a full month until September hits. Those look to be timing up pretty perfectly in my own personal opinion. So that is what I'm looking at for the most part on Bitcoin, guys. We'll see how this develops over time. We had the level here. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty upset. I don't want to act like I'm like super bent out of shape. It's okay, right? Like I'll just find another entry, but really wish I could have showed this long position here because we've been waiting for that level for so long. I like to have everything come full circle. Like, look, guys, we came to the level and I have the long position, but can't catch every single move. This isn't Pokemon. This isn't Pokemon, guys. But let me jump into chat here real quick. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Shout out to Mr. New Creations at 112K is also a 6-month level. Perfect bounce from here. Yeah. I mean, add it to the list. Add it to the list. I mean, there is a reason we look at these levels, guys. And, hopefully if you're learning how to read the charts, if you're learning how to trade, just not only being prepared for the drop to the downside, not getting scared at the wrong moment, but also understanding like, hey, we're just kind of cruising down to our next key level of support. It really does take a lot of the emotion out of like, oh my God, what's happening? Everybody's panic selling. Is it the bear market, right? Like you actually understand like, well, hey, we might just be going to fill that CME gap, which by the way, we are now back above. That has now been filled, right? One of the big reasons we were looking at this was simply because we had that CME gap at about $114,000. Pull that up right here, right? We sweep it, right? We lose the 786. We tap that 112K level. We filled the CME gap. Hopefully that's all we need. That would be very, very nice. But, I do just have to let you guys know, as long, if this winds up rolling back over, just understand this money flow is still generally trending out. So that's why I am not worried, but cautious of lower highs and lower lows potentially still coming in. But hopefully if we creep up here above that POC, money flow starts cooking, and we can just send this thing to the upside. It would make a lot of sense, right? I would say, like, this is definitely a valid level to have the low in at, right? We waited for it for so long. We tapped it. Doesn't mean you have to dig all the way down into the level. So, yeah, I'm just going to be playing it level to level. If we get the lower low, I'll look for a new long position. If I get a retracement here into some key levels, I will look for a higher low for a potential long entry. And we'll just play it. I was going to say ear to ear. We'll play it by ear, right? Trading is a game of setting traps, not just trying to FOMO long dumps, right? And that's why, sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes patience. It's like one of the most important things when it comes to trading is patience. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Right? You just wait for your next key zone of support. So, yeah, let me see here. Bada boom, bada bing. I have 51 longs running with 2 shorts on board. Shout out to Todd. Let's go. Load it up on the positions. I love it, bro. I love it. Let's see. Jay Violet in the chat. What is going on, Jay Violet? Welcome in. Welcome in. Shout out to Violation. Said, Frankie, hello. Maybe you can check, maybe you'll check Dogecoin first in altcoins, and I will follow you from 5 accounts. Shout out to Violations. Yes, we could take a look at Dogecoin. I've kind of already checked in on Ethereum briefly here. I do like to start with Ethereum because it's kind of the first mover. So I will start with Ethereum, and then we'll jump into Dogecoin. We'll check Solana. We'll check XRP. We'll check INJ, and then we'll take some requests from the chat. But as of right now, guys, Ethereum, or Erythrium as your grandmother might call it. I don't know why I couldn't talk there. But you guys can see here, pulled from our high here at about almost $4,000. You know, what is it, 39.40, right? We got the high put in here when you pull your fib from the high to the not all-time low, but the current low here. Golden Pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement. We are tapping into that resistance here, but I'm not going to lie, guys. What have we been looking at here on Ethereum? It's like, well, hey, if we drop down here, we have the value area high. We have the daily MPOC just below, which we did get a little failed auction of. And now we're back above this value area high. I love, at this moment, that we are above this value area high. It does not guarantee that you have to blast off into new all-time highs, right? But this is kind of that last zone, right? If we're going to put in a lower high and a lower low, it has to come in my opinion, between the Golden Pocket and the 786. If we get above this 786, which, by the way, sits at 38.16, let's say we get a little correction, we snap above that 786, this could be anticipated to be a break of structure to the upside once you snap that 786. And we came down into our beautiful zone of support here, value area high, daily MPOC. Not an impossible place to put a bounce at, right? You get the initial breakout, the retest of those range highs, and then you could send it back to the upside. But the last kind of order of business here would be getting above that 786 at 38.16. That's the line in the sand, right? And when we look at this on a higher time frame, guys, for Ethereum, I have been bullish on Ethereum ever since we were cooking down here, right? Saying, no one's going to be bearish here. I mean, no one's going to be bullish down here, right? People are saying Ethereum's dead, it's expensive, it's slow, whatever it is, right? But from a chart perspective, I didn't know how much lower people wanted this to go, right? I was not panic selling my Ethereum down here. I did anticipate the bounce, and we knew once we got above that value area low, it was very likely to fill that range to the high. And when we look at this from a macro perspective, this is huge resistance, guys. When we come back to 2021, right? We got the push into, call it $4,000, big rejection. Another push back up into $4,000, big rejection, right? We snap into the all-time high briefly. We fake out that $4,000 level. We come back down. Back up to about 4K, almost back down, right? Then when we came back up here in 2024, up to about $4,000, tried to get out, couldn't do it. Big breakdown, back to the low, back to the high, testing that $4,000 level again, big send to the downside. So I would say, guys, in my own personal opinion, the more times you tap on the door, the more likely it is to open. And this is a super long-term example of that. But if we could get above that 786 and start attacking that, these highs that we've been rejected at for so long, between $400 and $4,100, I would say, snap these highs, guys. We could be looking for new all-time highs on Ethereum, right? And now this, just to be clear, if our money flow still looks the same on Ethereum, thicker in the green here, big squeak up on money flow here. Could this be a lower high? Yes. But, 10-hour money flow coming down, 8-hour money flow coming down, 6-hour money flow potentially looking for the crossover into the red. So I don't want to make it seem like you have to take off from here. Again, if you put the lower high and money flow crosses into the red, you would be looking for a bigger continuation down. But even if we had to play with these bigger levels, we could still be looking at the same thing, right? This would be a healthy pullback into the Golden Pocket, retest your range highs, send it back up, right? But if we go up sooner than later and we break that 786, I want you guys to have this on your chart. 38.16. Break above that level, guys. We're really testing a very key level of support that, if broken, could put us into new all-time highs, where obviously you guys know, we could look at some local levels when it comes to it, but I would say big zone for Ethereum between 5,800 and 5,873.33. This would be where I would anticipate the first big pit stop to be if we go into new all-time highs for Ethereum. If you have not seen my price prediction video on Ethereum, my longer-term update, dropped, I think, a week or two ago. Go watch that. I go into full depth on what I'm looking at here on Ethereum. But that's what we're looking at, right? Locally, we're approaching the Golden Pocket. This is the last level of defense. Once you get above that, hopefully we can hold support and send it to all-time highs. But again, with that, even here on the 2-hour money flow coming back up, this is, in my opinion, decent for a lower time frame continuation up. But you cannot sleep on those higher time frames. And this looks a little better than Bitcoin, if I'm being quite honest, right? Bitcoin's 12-hour is a lot closer to the zero line. This is still pretty thick in the green. And if we are where we think we are in the cycle, guys, I wouldn't be surprised. Like there's no saying that we have to come down for that bigger retracement. So we'll see how this plays out over time. But again, can't ignore all this money flow, like still trending to the downside. You would hope for a fake out here, right? You need this 10-hour money flow to come back up into the green, which is definitely possible. But again, cautiously optimistic, right? Because again, if these pushes up are going to happen, I think it is going to probably be pretty kind of out of nowhere, right? So, fake out could be possible, but you have to take this at face value. Money flow is trending out. So there's at least a possibility of putting in a lower high. The nice thing is you have that beautiful line in the sand of the 786 at 38.16. So there you go. That's what I'm looking at on Ethereum. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Mr. New Creation said ETH BTC chart, green dot on the 2-month. I took a look at this in the Bitcoin Ethereum deep dive that I did a couple weeks ago. Definitely go check that out. Tony D, if you can drop that link to the ETH video in the chat if anybody wants to check it out. They could just get a quick link. But yeah, I mean, the ETH BTC chart is something that I looked at in that video. Obviously looked bullish, right? We had come down to the value area low. I'm not going to pull it up right now. But yeah, I would say the ETH BTC chart still has more upside, which again, just like from a timing perspective, guys, this stuff is eerily close to how it has played out in the past. So still bullish here long-term. My long-term sentiment is still all-time highs. Alt season will eventually come in here as long as they don't start pushing the rate cuts back at that September meeting. That is where it starts to get a little bit sketchy. Also, guys, you take a look at the stock market here, right? Stock market with a beautiful bounce back to the upside here. We saw the SPY, the ES, everything getting nice bounces to the upside, which we all know. Bitcoin is very likely to follow that as well. I mean, you want to talk about like a scam asset that just never goes down forever or just keeps going up forever? I mean, just look at the stock market, right? Like you just buy the dips on this thing and you're just going to wind up in profit at some point. Kind of reminds me of a similar asset. So anyway, let's continue on. We just need, shout out to Elvis Diaz said, we just need Golden to buy 100K of ETH. Let's go. Shout out to Diaz. Golden, buy ETH. I think he's more of a Bitcoin guy, but hey, buy Bitcoin too. Bump it, Golden. Come on, baby. Shout out to Jose. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. He said, we need to create the CRAC, the crypto republic of all countries. I love that. We should all come together. And yeah, that's the one thing about like institutions and governments getting involved, guys. I'm bullish on crypto. I love crypto for the decentralization. But when when the government start getting involved, hopefully they don't turn it into USD, a US dollar part 2. But let's see. Just shows how inflated our dollar is. Shout out to JR Ford. Yes. All right, let's see. XRP, yes. So I'm going to jump into, I'll do Dogecoin because a lot of people are looking for Dogecoin analysis here. Now, as you guys know, when we looked last week at Dogecoin, we have our fib from the low to the high. And, just from a volume profile perspective, we look to get above that value area low to look for a push up into the POC. We are getting that rejection from the POC, which, again, is not unlikely to see, right? Being inside this volume profile is the important thing, right? Once you're accepted into this range, even corrections from the POC, it could be an ugly, sketchy kind of rotation back up through the profile. But overall, as long as we don't lose this 16-cent value area low, even when we look at Ethereum, right, obviously we came up, broke above the POC. We had to retest almost the value area low one more time before the full rotation. But until you break that value area low, the rotation of the volume profile is going to be more probable. And when we take a look at something like Dogecoin, we're still healthily within this profile, right? We had the golden pocket sitting here. We're getting a nice bounce from that level. Going to have to battle this anchored VWAP on the way back up. So I would actually mark this off as a key level. It is currently sitting at 21 cents. This will move as price action develops, but if you could squeak above that anchored VWAP, right, that would be a nice sign to see a continuation back up. So watch that sitting at about 21 cents. If we get the rejection back down below it, right, if we cannot break above this level, maybe we have to go down for a deeper retracement. We have a daily MPOC here at 18 cents. And then if we get the bigger drop down, once you lose that golden pocket, where are we looking down anyway? The 786 Fibonacci retracement, which is confluent with the daily MPOC and the value area low of the range. So this is kind of level number one where you would hope for a higher low to continue up. If you lose this level, is it all over? Not in my opinion. You could still come down to retest that value area low. It'd be a much more brutal correction, but at the end of the day, as long as you hold within this range, you can still look for that point of control. As long as you hold that value area low, the doorway to the POC and the doorway to the value area high is open. And I know that seems crazy, but again, just go back to other times this has happened, right? Just like we said back here. As long as you hold above the value area low, you got above the POC, and then it's like, oh my God, we're losing the POC, right? But you have that last level of defense sitting down here where we also had fib levels. As long as you don't break down below this, the higher probability is to just see that wonky rotation up through the profile, right? It's the same thing on Dogecoin. It wouldn't be until I started losing the 16-cent value area low, which also has a weekly MPOC just underneath it for some backup. It wouldn't be until we start losing this range where I would be looking for a crack at this low and a much bigger drop to the downside. So, and when we look at money flow, right, from a money flow perspective, right, this is still 2-day money flow in the green, VWAP coming up. As long as we're able to hold this, as long as this money flow stays in the green, what are we looking for? We're looking for a low, a higher low, and a higher high. Whether it comes in here or here, it is still valid. So still got some room, right? You still got some room before you could start panicking, right? You got 21% dump, and we'd have to lose this level in order for me to look for that bigger drop down. Still within the profile. Very nice. And a beautiful bounce off that golden pocket. Let's see. Shout out to Alpha Cry. I can't see that full name, but I'm pretty sure it's Alpha Cry. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you. Big super chat. Let's go. I appreciate you so much, man. He says, sup, Frankie? Love your TA. Floki looking solid to break out. Much more upside than Dogecoin. Where do you see ETH topping out at? Possible top at 7K or higher? Yeah. Shout out to Alpha Cry. I appreciate the super chat, bro. But yes, higher time frame. Again, check out that ETH video. Big zone to look at on Ethereum. 5,800. I would say 5,810. Yeah, $5,800 all the way up to about 73.33. This is going to be the big zone to look at. It's very hard for me to say if this thing is going to tap 5,800 and dump, tap 65.20 in the middle, dump, or tap the higher level and then dump. And who knows? Potentially you can go higher than this. But again, as of right now, these are the predictions that I will be looking at. Longer term predictions I will be looking at until we have more information, right? Like if we get up here and things look like super, super bullish and we wind up going into like a nice little bull pennant or something like that, money flow looks good for another snap up. We could potentially look much higher, but I am not just going to hold my ETH bags until we hit 10K because we have levels up there, right? The top looks like it's coming in here. I will look for that. So I really have to wait for the development of price action to see what kind of signals we get up there, but that will be the zone that I'm looking at. So not too far off. And maybe we'll take a look at Floki as well if we have some time. Shout out to Alpha Cry. I will write that down here. So yeah, let me see here. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into some more altcoins here. 3-month green tot on ETH USDT. Yeah, so we take a look at some of the higher time frames. This is another thing that we've been looking at on all the altcoins, right? We've already confirmed it, right? But we had the monthly green dot on Ethereum that confirmed first, and then some of those other altcoins wound up with the VWAPs down below the zero line. Like, this is a pretty good sign, right? You haven't gotten the green dot yet, but a lot of these altcoins, guys, if they have not already printed their monthly green dots, they are getting very close, right? Like this VWAP coming up, like could this reject? Yes, but we've already had this VWAP below the zero line for, call it, 100 and, over 100 days, right? It's kind of hard because I can't get the exact crossover there. But, if we get these monthly green dots, guys, like just the green dots alone are indicative of more upside, right? We've been covering this every day on the live stream and it just hasn't changed, right? We've just gotten these little pullbacks, which I'm glad I was able to keep you guys updated on to hopefully like ease some of those emotions on that drop down. But like these pullbacks are something we've been expecting, right? Not only on the altcoins, but Bitcoin literally coming down and tapping the exact level that we were looking at, right? At 100, starting at 112K. Right on time, guys. Right on time. There's nothing to be worried about, my own personal opinion. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Nirvana and Alpha Cry. If you watch my most recent ETH video, I cover all that for you. Let's see. Shout out to Smoke. What is going on, man? Welcome in. Captain Kirk with the super chat. Thank you so much for that, Cap. Says, Frankie and the Mafia, I really want to thank you for all the prayers and positive vibes. I love you all. Shout out to Cap. Speedy recovery, Cap, and Jesse. Show Cap some love and Jesse some love, guys. If you don't know, they both got into motorcycle accidents. Very close to each other, maybe if not on the same day. So show them some love in the chat. Wish them a speedy recovery, and we're happy to have you guys in the chat. I was very happy to see Jesse pop up because Cap came back, and then Jesse wasn't here. Very happy to see Jesse back in the chat. Help him out. He is our like police. Smash that like button if you guys appreciate the free TA. If we run it up to 550, we'll give away some Frankie Candles hats. If we run it up to 1,000, we'll give away $200 in Solana. Let's see. XRP, yes. So we'll take a look at XRP. We'll take a look at Solana. AVAX, not a bad choice either. H bar. Yeah, let me write some of these down. Let's see. H bar, AVAX. Let's see. Go H bar. We'll go AVAX. We'll go INJ. And then I'll freestyle some requests as well. You don't have to spam them right now. Tony D says, Frankie, it's interesting, isn't it? I've never seen Captain and Jesse in the same room. Shout out to Tony D. That is true. They could be in the chat at the same time, but never physically in the same room. Shout out to Tony D. Let's see. Shout out to Jim, says, what's your favorite pizza joint in the area? Tony's Place. Tony makes homemade pizza. That is the best pizza in a 100-mile radius of where I am. So, yeah, shout out to Tony. In New York, honestly, New York's kind of like throw a dart at the board. You're going to get pretty decent pizza. Let's see. Okay, so, yeah, maybe we'll take a look at Solana as well. And Floki as well was the other one that I wanted to write down. And then we will take some more requests as well. But let's go ahead and jump into – I'm going to cover the big boys real quick, guys. Solana, if you guys watched the recent streams, right, we were looking for the breakout of this kind of wonked out head and shoulders. Again, not a big pattern guy, but I do use this for technical targets. We almost got that technical target to play out to the dollar. We got the pullback. Oh, my God, is it all over? Is it all over, Frankie? Are we going to zero? No, obviously this correction was anticipated when we pull up the Solana chart here that we've been looking at, right? What did we come up to here? Pull up a little bit of a higher time frame, right? We got that breakout into the previous value area. We lost it, right? And we're coming back down for a retest. We had the key level here at the 786 value area high, where I was letting you guys know I was actually interested in a long position here, but during the premium live stream, we were looking at the interaction with price, with the level, right? Not really a ton of confirmation there. We decided to sit out of that long position. Wound up being the right decision as we lost the value area high. And on Friday's live stream, we were saying if we lose this value area high, the next likely place for price to go is going to be the golden pocket, because when you lose that value area high, the next major FIB extension level is in confluence with these 2 daily MPOCs, right? So sure, when you break above or break back into a value area, could you look at the POC? Yes, this is actually still a very key level of support in case we put in a lower high and a lower low. This is going to be a gigantic level of support, and in my opinion, one of the last lines in the sand to watch. But as we did not get that immediate bounce off the value area high, we wanted to go a little bit deeper. We had this golden pocket daily MPOC zone. Where are we bouncing from? Directly from that level. Now, did we actually get any type of confirmation down here? Well, kind of similar to Bitcoin, the confirmations were a little bit weird, right? We didn't have the low time frame bull divs, but we did get like this little wonky 4-hour bull div. So that is probably why we're getting the bounce. I don't hate the fact that we're starting to peek our head above this value area high again. I'm going to take this fib off the chart because it's no longer relevant. But key level of support as of right now locally on Solana, 166.85. Stay above this value area high. We may be able to get the bigger retracement to the upside. When we look at money flow, though, 12-hour money flow starting to creep back into the green, and long-term, 2-day money flow in the green. These red dots are likely to give you pullbacks. This is why this pullback on any of the altcoins was not unexpected. Get the pullback, but what are you hoping for? You're hoping for higher lows and higher highs. Where are the higher lows likely to come in at? Well, we can look. We were looking at the local 786 here, but that was a local level. We have the bigger pulled from the absolute low here of this major move up from the low to the high. Golden pocket sits right here, right? So higher low opportunity into the golden pocket could be lower high, higher low, higher high. If we have to come back in here and lose this golden pocket, I will be looking at the 786 because, as always, lose the golden pocket, you're looking down to the 786. Is this confluent with a weekly naked point of control and the POC of our major range? So if we don't put in the higher low here and send it back into this range to reclaim the value area low and send it into the point of control at 217, 216, if we come back down, this is the last opportunity to put in that higher low. That's where you really want to bounce, right? Because if we don't bounce, that whole theory is kind of invalidated, right? Money flows in the green. That is why we're looking for a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. 2-day money flow being in the green makes you anticipate higher lows and higher highs. But when you're looking at 2-day money flow, sometimes those moves can be pretty drastic because it's such a high time frame. But if we are able to come back down here, lose that golden pocket, this POC is the last level I'd be looking at, because if we lose that 786, it's not that you have to go into a bear market, but I would be anticipating to come back down to the value area low. And at that point, if you lose this 786, you would be anticipating a crack at this low, which is just not the best thing in my opinion, right? That would be a little bit more bearish. Could you come down, lose the 786, bounce off the value area low, deviate a little bit, hold it as support? Yes. You know, when we pull the full Fibonacci retracement, all the way from the low to the high here. Yeah, I would really prefer to hold the POC zone in my own personal opinion. If we have to look at the lower levels, we will, but just from a general sense, right, lose the golden pocket, come down to the POC 786. If you don't get the bounce there, I'd be looking down towards the value area low generally. And this does sit, value area low sits at 126.40, 126.79. Hopefully we don't have to deal with it, right? Again, we are getting a nice bounce from that golden pocket. So first major levels right here, POC 786 sitting between 144.68 and 141.86. Lose that. Bit more bearish in my opinion. So if we want to hold the aggressive higher lows, no real better place to bounce. And if we come down, last chance, right? Again, this wouldn't mean bear market for me, but we're pretty far away from those levels, so we'll cross that when we get there. I don't want to cover too many scenarios here. All right, there we go. Let's see. That was Solana. I'll do a quick check-in on XRP, as XRP has gotten the pop back to the upside, guys, and we have had our local levels, which I accidentally, actually purposely deleted them, forgot to bring them back. But even here, right? If that money flow is going to continue out, which again, 2-day, guys, 2-day money flow. This is the longer term money flow. Low, high, higher low, higher high. Even if we had to come down and retest this range high, I would say it still looks good for a higher low and a higher high. Even if we had to slip down to that 786, could be a higher low and a higher high, supporting that bullish market structure to the upside. We did bounce off some local levels here. I wish I didn't delete those. Pretty sure I did. Hang on, maybe I hid them. There we are. Okay, actually, okay, beautiful. This is a much better scenario than I thought. Dang, I did delete some of it. But we had our first major zone here with the anchored VWAP, 2 daily MPOCs. These are now obviously tapped. We came down here. I wish I knew exactly what we were looking at here. I'd like to kind of give you guys an exact reason for the bounce. Is that a daily MPOC maybe? No. Man, I wish I knew. Probably a local Fibonacci retracement if I had to guess. Come on down to a little bit of a lower time frame. Pull it from the impulse to the high. Might have been this golden pocket. There it is. Wow, look at that, baby. Reverse engineering the TA, guys. So there you go. We did have this local golden pocket. Pulled from the impulse to the high. First major opportunity for a higher low. Right? If we don't hold this, then you're probably going down to retest the range high, which you have a lot of confluence at. So, yeah, I would say, is this a possibility to put in a higher low before continuing back up and breaking structure to the upside? Definitely possible. The only real kind of difficulty here is we got to see what Bitcoin does with this money flow, right? If that high time frame money flow fakes out, I mean, looking at XRP here, 8-hour money flow crossed into the red. These VWAPs, though, man, if these VWAPs come down and give us the red dot, this is still a possible fake out into the green before a bigger move into the red. So if that bearish case plays out, the key level I would look at is still here at the value area high, 260 to 250. If you lose that, the biggest level I would look at, you have the POC sitting here at 240, but last line in the sand for me personally would be the 786 / daily MPOC at 230. That's the lowest I would like to see that retracement go. Hopefully the bottom's in here, right? But if this money flow is not going to fake out, you have to keep the opportunity and your eyes open to a potential bearish scenario where you come deeper. 260 to 250, lose that. I'm pretty much looking down towards the 786. You have the POC as an honorable mention, but the confluence here on the daily MPOC 786 makes me look at this as a stronger level. So there you go, right? We didn't even have to deal with the range high test yet. We got that local level to hold. So yeah, and then I would say the line in the sand here, for me personally, would be, I'll take this off the chart, right? Just pulling from the high all the way to the low here. I would say crack above about 346. Hold it as support. I mean, this is kind of a zone. Yeah, I would say 346. If we continue the bigger move up, we start flipping 346. Possibility of the breakout into all-time highs, right? Which I would see the next target sitting at 416. Next major target at 416. So there you go. Not too shabby. We had a lot of local levels here. They all got ran through except for this one. And did we? I don't think we had any confluence there. It was just the golden pocket. And we are back above this anchored VWAP. This is major resistance on the way back up. So if we are going to continue up locally, hold above that anchored VWAP. Continue up, break 246, hold it as support. That could send us off into all-time highs. This is the last opportunity. If you're going to put in a major lower high and a lower low, that would be the last place to look, in my opinion. So there you go. Let's see here. Shout out to Trident Lion. Says Bitcoin is the best. Sound ethics, sound engineering, sound economics. Can't disagree with that. Can't disagree with that. Let's see. Shout out to Diaz. Says TA 2-day money flow still has not crossed over into the green, but creeping up I don't know if you're talking about Bitcoin. Money flow is still in the green on the 2-day, just full disclosure. There was a nice bounce of 26% on the daily off a GP and bull div on the 8-hour. Oh, shout out to Elvis. Are you talking about I don't know exactly what you're talking about as in like what coin you're talking about. But 2-day money flow is in the green pretty much on everything, maybe with the exception of some altcoins. But yeah, I mean, still like these are the shallower pullbacks. If we just have to endure this for a higher low and a continuation up, that would be beautiful. If not, still opportunities here if we get the bigger retracement down. So there we go. Let's see. Okay, so we took a look at XRP, Solana, Ethereum. Let's see what else we got here. Let's take a look at HBAR real quick. Yeah, I mean, nice little bounce here. This is not our HBAR chart. XC chart probably. There it is. And guys, we give these levels for free every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oof. Deviated below the value area, stuck the golden pocket. We're back inside the value area low. We also held above this anchored VWAP. Let me, this is pulled from the higher low here all the way to the high. Golden pocket tapped, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, we're holding that first zone of support. I would still say, for what it's worth, if we did have to break back down out of this range, I would still be looking at the anchored VWAP, which has slightly ticked up here between about 22 and 21 cents. So this is your hope. Right? You have the bounce off the golden pocket. Hopefully you can continue up towards that POC. You're now back above the value area low. That is nice. In the bearish scenario, if that money flow is on the medium time frames, indeed does continue to play out, and you lose this value area low, lose the golden pocket, where's the next level to look at? Well, once you lose the golden pocket, you're looking down towards the 786. Definitely a big key level to look at. Once we lose that, I'm looking down towards the range highs, which sit at about 19, almost 20 cents, right? Almost 20 cents exactly. So nice bounce off the golden pocket. Let's see if we can hold that value area low. Value area low is coming in at 24 cents. If we can hold above here, hopefully we can. That could indicate a bigger move to the upside. Once you lose that golden pocket, I'm looking down towards the 786 anchored VWAP. Really don't want to lose this, to be honest, like medium term, right? Because you lose that 786, could get a bearish retest on the anchored VWAP, which would call for a continuation down into our next big zone, starting at about 20 cents at the value area high. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but right now, holding the support that we looked at last week at the golden pocket. And shout out to Crypto Beast. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate that so much. He says TA on Mamo. We actually looked at Mamo last week. We could try to take a look at Mamo for you, no problemo. And I'll try to dish out as much sauce as I can on that. Yo, where's the birthday snob? Shout out to Dutchy. Where is Rob the Crypto Snob? Is he not here today? Shout out to Rob the He's probably out celebrating his 15th birthday in the past 15 days. All right, let's see. Okay, so yeah, for HBAR, holding key support. Hopefully we can stay above that value area low. You just don't want to lose this golden pocket. Once you lose that golden pocket, I'm looking down here. 786 coming down to the range highs, but let's check that 2-day real quick. 2-day money flow. Right, still in the green. This is still healthy for a small pullback, higher low and higher high. Again, this is the doorway to higher prices. Like this, anytime we're above here, it opens the door to the POC. Flip the POC, go to the high. Right, anytime we're above that level. So again, we'll have to kind of see how we'll have to let things settle down here a little bit. Are we going to put in the lower high on Bitcoin? Are we going to put the lower high in on Ethereum? Right, this will all have an effect on the altcoins as well, other altcoins I should say as well, such as HBAR. But those are the next key levels that I'll be looking at. 12-hour money flow, still generally trending to the downside from a binary fashion, right? These are lower highs. Clear trend to the downside. You need this to really start scooting up. So we'll see. These next high time frame red dots, I think we will see a resolution here to the money flow, especially on Bitcoin, right? If the VWAP winds up coming down, say on the 8-hour, right? Look for the red dot. If that money flow drags back out, very likely that will give us the resolution, right? Because then that 12-hour red dot will print. Money flow will likely come back down if it starts dumping, and then that crossover into the red would indicate the bigger pullbacks on everything. Not only looking for the lower levels on Bitcoin, but also on the altcoins. Now you guys have the exact levels that I'm looking at. So there we go. Quick and dirty on HBAR, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Eugene Sky. He says, Frankie drawing Disney Magic Kingdom chart. Let's go. Da-na-na. I don't know. I'm not going to try to butcher that song. But, right, like does that. That does look like the Disney logo. Anyway, Let's continue on. That's pretty funny, man. Yo, shout out to Perry. Thank you for the super chat. Empty super chat. Don't send another one, bro. Send it in the free chat. I don't want you wasting your money. We'll try to get it on. We'll try to get it on the free chat, so you don't have to spend any more money. Let's see. Dutchy, you're crazy, bro. I feel like Dutchy's like immune to he might get hidden, but we can't ban Dutchy, but he does say some out-of-pocket stuff, no pun intended. Anyway, shout out to Dutchy. Let's continue on here. Dutchy gone rogue. Dutchy's losing it. But yeah, there we go. There's H-bar for you guys. Let's go ahead and jump in on AVAX. Actually, I don't think we checked AVAX last week, so we'll jump in here today. AVAX with a nice bounce at the value area high. All right. We don't hate that. We don't hate that, guys. Let me go ahead and see. Yeah, golden pocket still remains. This is still a key golden pocket. We've almost come up to tap it before the rejection. But again here, guys, when we look at this, take this off the chart because this is already tapped. Pull from the local low to the high. Ooh, front ran the golden pocket. That's interesting. Let's see here. So, yeah, I would say I would call this support on the value area high. Which is nice because you don't really want to get accepted under this value area high because we all know if you get accepted under this value area high, the push down to the POC could be likely, which we do actually have support on, right? So key levels of support on Avalanche right now is going to be the POC 786 retracement between 1816 and 1723, excuse me. And then we have the golden pocket locally sitting here, which was front ran, sitting between $20.22 and 22 cents and 1970. These are the two big levels to look at. If we continue down, those would be the levels to watch, right? If we get another kind of lower high, lower low, golden pocket, you have to fight that value area high. If you can get back on top of that, anytime you live above this value area high, guys, if you could stay up here, it does open the door to the doorway to higher prices at the value area low above, which again has a decent bit of confluence. Golden pocket, value area low, anchored VWAP. This is definitely going to be an important level of resistance to look at. If we can flip it, get up in here, flip that value area low, anchored VWAP, golden pocket to support, right? Well, I wouldn't really be looking at the golden pocket as a flip to support, but stay inside here. 786 is that last line of defense. Once you get above there, I'm looking to the POC. And then we can reassess the situation. If it looks good, we'll know, right, if it's going to be likely for a macro lower high or for a break of the POC for a send back into the value area high, sitting at 49.17. So again, as we've been looking at, these are just pullbacks, right, as of right now. It's not until... right, in my opinion, I'd say the real line in the sand here. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah, you lose this support zone at about 1726. That's where I would be looking to take out these lows and push into the value area low. But we got the nice bounce here, front running that golden pocket. So even if we come down, there's still room to run, or still room to bounce, I should say. And if I pull an anchored VWAP here, let me pull it. Nice. Pull it to the low. Whoops. Yeah, I mean, this is, stay above that value area high would be key. Break that down below it. You're watching the golden pocket. Lose that, 786 POC. Lose the POC. Probably looking down towards the value area low. This is your line in the sand for Avalanche. And then to the upside, your line in the sand is going to be the 786, 3166. So there you go. But overall, guys, nothing really too crazy here, right? You got a massive move to the upside, 76%. Nice little 25% correction. Didn't even get the full golden pocket retracement yet, right? So... could the bottom be in? I hope so. But even if you pulled back, right, like these would still be areas to look for bounces. Right on time, baby. Right on time. Shout out to anybody holding AVAX. Hopefully, if AVAX pumps, my COQ can pump as well. It's looking a little floppy right now. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. What is going on with Litecoin? Can we short it if we believe it? Can we short it if believe in downside, or is it trigger for others to pump? Yeah, so taking a look at Litecoin real quick. Litecoin is one of those like early movers. So like take that for what it's worth. This is slammed through. We did not have to come back down to this full retracement, so that's fine. Yeah, I mean, listen. Litecoin is typically one of those, early movers. Could this be indicating bigger pumps for everything else? Potentially. And again, my long-term bias is bullish here. But, yeah, I mean, I probably, at this point, right, what do you have? You have a fresh daily green dot. You have the 80 and 90-minute money flow looking similar to Bitcoin. Money flow cooking to the upside here, right? A lot of this stuff, guys, is a very good sign. Just understanding that Litecoin is an early mover. We even had BNB putting in new all-time highs. Obviously, Ethereum being the first of the first movers. So it all looks very indicative of all the other alts following, right? So I know a lot of other altcoins are still kind of hanging out at lower prices, but Litecoin pumping, and even now, right? Like, this is your bear market range for Litecoin, right? And we are still just, like, barely popping out of here, right? So this isn't even, like, too late to the party, right? Like, this is the first mover, and it's just starting to pop to the upside, right? Ethereum moved first, but I would say Ethereum is more in a situation where it's already gotten accepted above its value area low, and it kind of sits up here at the value area high. So good Litecoin follow. I would say just in general, right? High time frame money flow, 3-day money flow crossing into the green, 2-day money flow crossing into the green, right? This is all indicative of higher lows and higher highs as we've been looking at. Red and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market. I hate to be super repetitive, but hopefully this kind of shows you guys why I'm that repetitive with this stuff, because it plays out, right? Red dot prints, oh my God, we're pulling back. This is so scary. But what's your money flow doing? The money flow indicates the trend. The red and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows. So that red dot would indicate a pullback, right? But overall, you'd be looking for higher lows and higher highs. So hopefully, I mean, we're about to crack structure to the upside here. So I would say the next key level of resistance to watch here on Litecoin would be the doorway to higher prices sitting at $137, right? Flip that to support. Well, let's just look at what's happened in the past for a lot of other things, right? Or one specific thing, Ethereum, right? Get above that value area low, POC is likely. Eventually, you'll look for the full fill of the range, right? Looking at Ethereum, it's like, well, hey, get above the value area low, POC is likely. As long as you stay within the range, fill it to the high. Right? So this is Ethereum's bear market range. I'll just kind of rough this out, right? You kind of have the Ethereum bear market range here, right? And then once you break out of that bear market range, get accepted into the upper value, look for the fill, right? And then when we look at something like Litecoin, could be a similar situation, right? There's your bear market range. Crack into the upper profile, look for the fill. That's what I'm looking at. Key level here, 137.02. Flip it to support. Look for the POC. That's what I'm watching, right? Flip the POC. Money flows continuing up. Look for the value area high. Monthly green dot has been confirmed here. Very, very nice to see. And someone was talking about the 2-month green dots, which would be another pretty decent confirmation, right? Just like a monthly green dot. I mean, you can't really see it here on Litecoin. Yeah, just like zero information to look at there. But when we look at it on something like Ethereum, there's your 2-month green dot. The monthly green dot was an early indication that the continuation up would happen. And what are we seeing? Monthly green dot prints, you get the move up, little cool off. Now you have the 2-month green dot printing with a higher low. Yeah, send it up, baby, send it up. Hopefully. No guarantees, guys, no guarantees. But that's just what we see play out. What's a crypto? Shout out to Jay. I don't know. I think it's like a competitor to PayPal. It's like that Bitcoins thing, whatever that is, it Bytecoin or whatever, Bitcoins. Yeah, it's like some kind of like digital payment company. I don't know. But anyway, let's see. Great stuff as always. Shout out to Rudy. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for being here. Definitely an early mover. Shout out to Perry. I was considering leaving Polygon and moving to Arbitrum, but that comes. But is that going from corpse to corpse? Shout out to Scott Watson. I mean, I would say maybe Polygon would probably have a higher probability of being a corpse. But you know, I don't know. It's you do have to be careful with the older coins, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to get the same hype that they got last cycle, which does have a decent bit to do with the pumps. You want something to have some kind of like hype behind it, right? Like, crypto is a very speculative asset class, so it's like you do kind of need that hype, which maybe the Dino coins don't really get this cycle. We'll see. I mean, I would be shocked if you don't see a lot of the Dino coins at least go for a macro golden pocket retracement. But yeah. Let's see. Okay, so that was. Let's take a look at that was Litecoin. Let's take a look at INJ real quick. Bada boom. This is old. We actually haven't looked at INJ in quite some time. But just to kind of educational sauce for you guys, deviation above the high, right? And I will even try to, give this a little bit of confluence here from the bottom to the high. Golden pocket POC. So anyway, You get the deviation above the high, right? Once you get below this value area high, where are you going to be looking at? Even if you're not looking at the Fibonacci retracements, you're going to be looking for the POC to be next, right? You can't get back above the high. Next like a place for price to go, POC. Where are we getting the bounce from? Right from the POC. Absolutely beautiful. But let me actually pull the full retracement. Ooh, that would have been so nice if we tapped that. It doesn't mean you can't front run it and keep going, but man, if this was like that, ooh, baby, that would have been a nice bounce. Actually, if you pull to the higher low, do get that golden pocket sitting there. But either way, you get the bounce off the golden pocket, right? And again, if we're going to be in that area of price action or the area in the cycle where it's like, hey, you get the initial breakout, right? If money flow is coming up, you could look for that last retest of the POC before getting the bigger move to the upside. 2-day money flow is in the green, right? So you would be looking for any pullbacks to be higher lows and higher highs. You didn't pull back to the full golden pocket retracement, but that POC would be an important level to watch because sometimes when you get that initial breakout, like I said, sometimes you will go for that POC retest. And I always bring up Dogecoin for this example because did it so perfectly, right? Like back here, you get the initial massive breakout. This is longer term, but you get that big pullback. You're like, oh my God, what's happening? What do we do? We came back to retest that POC of the range before putting in a higher low and a higher high. And this actually was confluent with your retracement levels, right? Come on. Right in on that 786 POC confluence, right? So it's kind of similar here when we look at INJ, just more local. It's like maybe you get that pushback into the range, retest the POC. And I would say at this point, key level of support right now would be the value area high sitting at 1359. If we could stay above there and get the bigger push up, might be a nice place that we bounce off of right there. If we get accepted back into the profile, obviously you can just keep your eyes open, right? If you get stuck back in here, I'll pull from the high to the low for our fib. What is this macro value area high? I think it's this. Pretty sure it's this. Yeah. Okay. So I would say, personally, for me, pulled from the high to the low. Last chance to put in a lower high here would be golden pocket 786. Break that 786 at 1540. I would be looking for the bigger push up to potentially attack some of these other levels, which I will take this local range off the chart, and I would probably view this as a larger volume profile. Let's pull it like this. Yeah, at that point, break that 786, attack that value area low, look, see if you can get accepted in there and push it up to higher prices. But locally here, I would say your biggest key level of support, definitely going to be the value area high, 1357. Kind of want to hold that, to be honest. And then this is your last level to put in a lower high, right? Because if you're going to come up, lower high, lower low. And when we look at money flow again, right, I don't know. I'm not going to lie. The money flow in the altcoins is looking better on the 12-hour than it does on Bitcoin. Would line up perfectly. But, see 16-hour money flow coming back up, daily money flow attempting to come back up. So, yeah, a little bit of a difficult situation, to say, like, guaranteed direction on money flow, right? Because, 4 hours back in the green, but then, like, that 12 and 16-hour trying to come up. It's a little bit difficult, right? So I'm not going to pay as much attention to that as I will with the key levels. So that's what I would look at. Key zone of resistance on INJ, 1456 to 1543. Break 1543. I think you can continue up. If you get the rejection, value area high is going to be your key level of support. But nice bounce off the POC, if I'm being quite honest. So yeah, that's what I look at on INJ, as some people like to call it. Let's see. Shout out to Musica, says Frankie, the BTC $110,000 massive order on Bookmap. Don't you think we need to revisit them? Shout out to Musica. I wouldn't say have to. But like I said, this is not something that I typically look for. Like, I wouldn't just look at that order and say this has to fill. It's kind of similar to CME gaps. Like, I wouldn't say similar to CME gaps, but like the way I approach that would be the same as like a CME gap. Like, does the CME gap have to get visited? No. Does it oftentimes get filled? Yes. But I would say, is it valid to look at that $110,000 order? Well, again, our big key zone of support here was sitting between $112,000 and $110,000, right? Just to be clear. So we did bounce off. We got the nice bounce off like the first portion of that level at 112,000, right? That's the first level we were hoping to bounce off of. If we didn't bounce there, we would have been looking down to 110K. And with the way money flow looks, at least on Bitcoin here, like I said on that 12-hour, right? Like this looks a much more likely to put in a lower high to continue trending out than it does on the altcoins. But if we were to get that, right, then we'd be looking for the lower low, which could push you into that next level. So if we get the continuation down with the lower highs and the lower lows based off money flow, it would make a lot of sense to come down there, because not only is this key support for many reasons, but if you have that order that you're seeing on Bookmap down there, it would also make a lot of sense for that to be a big support level as well. So I would say it's confluent with what I'm looking at, but it's also not impossible, right, to never come down and visit that level. You don't ever want to be in the mindset of like, you know, if things start to look good, and I would again say market cipher B is a little chopped up here. Lower time frames look good for continuation up. These higher time frames could still continue down, which is why I'm aware of a potential lower high, lower low scenario. But cautiously optimistic. Is it possible to put in the lower high and the lower low? Yes, but with the mixed signals on market cipher B, you start cracking above that POC, maybe we send it back up. You don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're waiting for a level that doesn't necessarily have to be tapped. But if we did, it would make a lot of sense, and that just adds confluence to what I'm looking at. So yeah, definitely not invalid to look at or anything like that. The question is, how is this going to shake out? Are we going to put in the lower high, or are we going to squeak out and get the surprise rip to the upside? So yeah, I would say it was much more clear up here to anticipate the drop to the downside than it is here to anticipate the bigger rip to the upside. A little bit mixed here. So, you know, hopefully as the price action develops, we can kind of smooth that out and get a little bit of a clearer view of what's going on. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Luke, says 200x on Pepe is safe. Trust me, bro. Not financial advice. Do your own research. Shout out to Luke. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. Good Lord. Some crazy stuff going on in chat here. I can't read some of this. But let's go ahead and continue on. Where do you find the money flow indicator? This is Market Cipher B. It is a paid indicator. Don't feel like you have to be looking at this to make money trading. Trust me, you don't necessarily need it. It is one of my favorite indicators as part of my daily analysis. I've been using it for many, many years, but this is paid. So you can go to marketciphertrading.com if you want to try to save some money and get a discount. You use our link in the description down below. I am not a paid shill. I've been using Market Cipher way before I knew CryptoFace, way before I was ever had a YouTube channel or anything like that. But if you want to save money, it's a win-win. We'll get a little kickback. You save some money. If you're going to get it anyway, why not save some money? But there we go. Shout out to Ganja Nerd. What is going on? Welcome in, Ganja Nerd. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and jump on into our next altcoin, which is going to be Floki. Let's take a quick look at Floki. We do not look at Floki very often, but we will take a look here. Do we have a Floki chart is the question. I think we do. Nope. Binance Tether. There it is. So let's take a look here. Have not looked at this in quite some time, but as you guys can see, right, we had the low to the high, Fibonacci retracement. This is where you'd look for the higher low. You got that. Once you put in the higher low, you're looking for the crack and structure to the upside, which would lead you. If you're going to look for that break and structure to the upside, the next key level of resistance to look at is that POC. That's where we're getting the rejection from. But I would say this is now not invalid, but it's already played out. I would say at this point, let me pull some key levels here for Floki. And just taking a quick look at Market Cipher B, just to give you an update here. Weekly red dot, right? So downside may not be quite finished yet, but looking at our 2-day money flow in the green, VWAP rolling up. Is this an area? I mean, you did front run the full golden pocket retracement from the swing low to the swing high. If you pulled it to this little higher low that we made, though, you did tap the golden pocket. So you tapped the local fib. You did not get the full fib just yet. So I would still watch this as a key level of support to the downside if we get another move down. Boom. And then you can look at this as a massive zone just like we did down here, right? Again, like there's no way to really know until you come down to the levels whether you're going to hold the golden pocket or the 786. So it's always going to be a zone. Lose the golden pocket, you look to go to the 786. That's your last chance to bounce. We wind up doing that. Put in the higher low. You have your low, your high, your higher low, your higher high, pushing you into the POC, which is resistance. Not unlikely to see a pullback from that POC, especially with a 2-day red dot. So I would say if you do continue down, the big level to look at here is going to be the golden pocket 786 between 97.18 and 79.65. If you're not going to hold this local one, right? You could potentially hold the local, flip the value area low. POC is open. Once you flip that POC, you can look to push up towards that value area high. Watch that 2-day green dot. I mean, money flow still looks good on the higher time frames here, guys. I'm sure a lot of people are questioning, like, after we saw that drop down, is like, are these still healthy pullbacks? Like, this is right on schedule. Right on schedule. Totally healthy. Even if we pull back towards the golden pocket 786, that could still be looked at as healthy as well. Let me pull the anchored VWAP from the low here. Ooh, fighting that anchored VWAP locally. Yeah, I would definitely say if you get another push down, this is definitely a big level to watch. So keep an eye here. 97.18 to 79.65. Reclaim value area low. I mean, just like any other time that you see those doorways to higher prices, this is your doorway to higher prices. Get back up here. POC, flip the POC, value area high. That's what I would look for. 2-day money flow would be looking for continuation of the uptrend, meaning low, high, higher, low, higher, high. The question is, do we have to pull back here first? And I would say, again, that kind of brings us to that question of, like, is this 12-hour money flow actually going to fake out back into the green, or is it going to be a lower high to continue that downtrend? So that's what I'd be looking at on Floki. Definitely have some real key levels of support down here. I could even see if we have any MPOCs in confluence with that. And you do, right? So it's very nice to see that. You have your daily MPOC right here. You have another one just below that golden pocket, and then you have another one right on that 786. So if I were to separate this into separate zones, and you also have a daily MPOC as resistance on that value area low as well. I'll even drag this one up here as well just because I could see it. So if I were to separate that into two zones, I would probably do something like this, right? First zone, second zone. More confluence in the first zone, if I'm being honest. 2 daily MPOCs, golden pocket, and the anchored VWAP. Down here, you have a daily MPO 786, but both valid levels. So if you continue down, lower high, lower low, that's the level to watch. If you break up above, you could potentially still put in a lower high up here on the daily MPOC. Is it confluent with a Fibonacci retracement level? Somewhat. But yeah, biggest levels to watch in my opinion. Doorway to higher prices, 11565. Put in the lower high, then I'm looking down here between 9718 and 8973. Lose that, coming on down here closer to 8236 to 7978. I hate reading these prices on these like tiny little micro prices. But there you go. That's what I'd be looking at. Shout out to Meet Damien says, smash that like button. There should be more likes in here. We have enough people to run us up. Let's go. Smash that like button, guys. Going for 550. After that, 1,000 likes. And I think I was talking to Tony D earlier today. I think we want to do something fun for our next big subscriber goal. We are creeping up on 80K. But our next big goal is 100K, guys. If we could get to 100K, we're going to do something big. We're going to do something cool. Yeah, it's I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to try to figure out something, but maybe we'll do a huge giveaway. Maybe we'll do a 24-hour stream. That would be crazy. But yeah, we're going to do something cool for 100K. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, run that up. Smash the like button, guys. Push us out into the algorithm. And yeah, I don't know. If you want a 24-hour stream, I don't even know what we would do. It'd be impossible to look at the charts for 24 hours. Well, not impossible. I could probably do it. But we're going to have to do something crazy when we hit 100K. Let's see. Iqbal, what is going on? Says, sorry, I missed your ETH. Shout out to Iqbal. Just scrub back. I believe it was the second thing we looked at. I think we might have. Yeah, just scrub back to the Bitcoin, and then we go into the altcoins. ETH was one of the first altcoins that we looked at. I gave you all the sauce on there, so just scrub back if you missed it. Let's see. Shout out to Fade and Tradfi. Said, let's see. Drop those LSs in the chat if you got it. Stream with Mrs. Candles. Getchy, I don't think I'll ever get Mrs. Candles on the live stream. She will not show herself on the internet. She's a very private person. She will show some hand, though, which is kind of crazy. She's showing hand before face, which is wild. But anyway, I'd like to see Bitcoin at 100K first. Shout out to Dutchy. Hopefully, we don't go back down to 100K. That would be brutal. Let's see. My girlfriend told me to sell at 112K, so I broke up with her. Yo, shout out to Void. Let's go. ADD Dad in the chat. What is going on, ADD Dad? Welcome in. There's those LSs. Dave Digital in the chat. Crypto Billy. Captain Kirk. Let's go. All right, so let's continue on. Can we take a look at TARS? Yes, we can take a look at TARS. Where we at? All right, so let's take a quick look at TARS. I'll hide this. All right, so I'm actually going to leave this on the chart for now just to explain kind of what we look at here. So we have the fib from the low to the high, golden pocket, first area to look for a bounce. I wish I knew the context here. We were probably trying to discuss, but depending on the, based on the placement of this arrow, I would assume, right? We came down here, pulled from the low to the high. We get that retracement into the golden pocket. You're hoping, right, if you're going to put in a higher low, that it would happen on that first bounce of the golden pocket. The more time, right, like the first time you hold that golden pocket, that's your hope to get the bounce. Once you start testing it again, this makes it much less likely to hold, right? You're hoping for a push into the golden pocket, higher low and higher high, right? So as soon as you come back down here, you're not looking at this as a key level anymore, and you are honestly anticipating the break of the golden pocket and the push into the 786. So when we look at this, right, what happens? You lose the golden pocket, you push into the 786. Where are we getting the bounce from? I'll take this golden pocket off the chart, right? You have that POC. This is key, right? We looked at this, I believe, last week. Yeah, we did. We looked at this on Friday, right? This is absolutely key. I think it was Friday. If you lost this 786, guys, like that's not a good look for TARS, in my opinion, right? Like if you lose that 786, that's your full retracement from the low to the high. So you lose that, you're pretty much invalidating the idea of a higher low, and it could cause a lot more downside. So very nice to see the hold of this level. We tapped into that 786 perfectly. And then you also have the weekly MPOC down below as backup support, which we did not have to test, at least yet. So if we do come back down, I would say the new key level to hold would be the weekly MPOC, right? Sitting at 0.05207. Lose that, I'm looking for much more downside. Now, on the way back up, anchored VWAP, let's pull some fibs here. You already have your value area low POC and confluence here. This sits between 0.09816 and say 11. It's so hard to read these levels, right? Like I want to say 10 cents, but I want to make sure they're I would say between about 10 and 11 cents between the value area low and the POC. Big level of resistance. I would say until we can reclaim that POC, I would be cautious. Once you reclaim that POC, you might be able to push up towards the high where we have our next area of confluence. If we pull from the high to the low, I would have liked that confluence on the value area low, if I'm being honest. Yeah, so I would really be watching this value area low, right? You have the local fib, you have the value area low, the POC, this whole zone, anchored VWAP. This is a big zone so you have a lot of resistance up here. I would say like the general bigger zone is going to be sitting between 0.09 and 9 cents and 11 cents. These are opportunities to put in lower highs and lower lows. We would not want to see that, though, right? Really what you want to see at this point is you want that 786 to hold, get above the POC, and then start sending it up through the profile. So, yeah, this is your major zone of resistance. It's kind of wide, but it is important. 9 to 11 cents. Can't get back above there. Lower high could be likely. And then when we look at money flow, right, a little bit different here on TARS. Money flow's been in the red for quite some time. This thing just can't really catch a break, to be quite honest. Take a look at the daily. Daily money flow back in the red as well. Take a look at the 2-day. 2-day money flow still hasn't crossed over into the green, which could mean two things. Could mean that maybe this is never going to cross over and it's going to go to zero, which I would say is probably the lower probability. But, generally, if we can keep this going, could just be early on that 2-day money flow crossover, which is always the bigger sign for a much bigger retracement to the upside or continuation to the upside. Your low, your high, higher low. Once you crack above that POC, you can look to the value area high and potentially put in that higher high. Low, high, higher low, higher high, right? And if that money flow crosses into the green, that would be a great confirmation to see that happen. So that's what I would look at. Biggest level of support on the chart right now. Please, for the love of God, let's not lose 5 cents. Lose 5 cents, yikes. But it's very nice to see that key level holding. We marked that out, and I labeled it key because of the importance of that 786 holding. So far, so good. So far, so good. All right, let's see. Let's see. Shout out to Maestro, says, all I see 30 minutes now is maybe it goes up, maybe it goes down, maybe it goes up. Any predictions? Show us your live trades. Come on. I am only holding right now, still holding my short position over on Femex. So there you go. There's one of my trades. Still holding this stop loss and profit. If I stop out here, I'll get stopped out for an extra $400. I already got 428 locked in, 858 unrealized. So there you go. There's one of my trades. But yes, absolutely. I am saying it could go up or could go down because that is how the market moves, right? Overall, my bias, my prediction is that we are entering the final stages of the bull market. that we will see rate cuts, that we will see all-time highs, that we will see an alt season, right? That is my overall bias. But when it comes, I'm a trader, right? So if you ever tune into this channel, we are always going to look for the bullish case and the bearish case, right? Trying to figure out the higher probability outcome, and then that is where we look for those trades. If we have a bearish bias, I will look for shorts over longs. Doesn't mean I won't take any longs, but we will always say it goes up or down. And shout out to Maestro. Thank you for saying that, because this is something I haven't covered in a while. When you are new to crypto, or not even new to crypto, but maybe new at looking at the charts, I know people just want me to come up here and say, oh, it's going up. If you want that, my long-term bias is that we will go up. But what we try to do here is catch every move. Not catch every move, right? But we make money whether price goes up or down, right? So if I'm sitting here, I'm not just sitting on my spot bags waiting to get paid out, right? For example, on Bitcoin. You know, I'm not just waiting for this to go up so my spot bags can pump. I sure hold a lot of spot, but when we see a range breaking down like this, we're looking for those short positions because we can also make that money on the way down, right? So when I'm talking about up or down, number one, there's no way to guarantee if it's definitely going to go up, although that is my bias long term. People get very confused. I would assume if I was talking about, hey, I think alt season's going to come, and then, I'm expecting new all-time highs for Bitcoin here long term, and then tomorrow we get a push down, someone would probably come in, right? I would assume maybe somebody like you and be like, oh my God, what the heck? I thought we were bullish. Why are we going down, right? Well, that's because the context of how we're going to get there could be that you might have more downside first before coming to the upside, right? So my general thought process here is I am bullish long-term. Moving into the September rate cuts, I will be looking for big pushes up. I will be looking for alt season. But the reason we look for moves up and down is because within the larger move to the upside, right, you can get these little pullbacks. And as we just showed, right, there's plenty of money to be had on those little dumps down, right? So I am a short-term trader, so I am always going to say it's going up or down, right? We look at both scenarios, which one's higher probability. That's where we're looking for the trades. But long-term spot bags, which is probably what you're looking for, healthy pullback, right? Even if we came lower, right? Still could be a healthy pullback for the final stage of the bull market to come in. So shout out to Maestro. If you're learning how to read the charts, take the could go up or could go down as a bad thing, as a good thing, right? That is literally how the market moves, right? Anyone getting up there saying, oh, it's definitely going to go up tomorrow, right? Like, and they're not basing it off anything technical. They're gambling, right? So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. All right, let's continue on here. Most people don't understand how trading works. They're just gambling at that point. Yeah, shout out to Perry. 100%, right? That's why anytime someone comes in here and they're like, you're saying it could go up or could go down, they're like, they think it's like, gotcha. And it's like, literally that is what I'm saying, right? Because that's literally how the market moves. And if it goes up, we're probably going to make money. If it goes down, we're also probably going to make money while we're waiting, hopefully, for the final phase of this bull market to continue paying us out on those long-term spot bags. So there you go. Always like when someone asks that, I always try to break that down because it's always like, I love it. It's like, you said it could go up or down. You're trying to cover yourself. It's like, no, I'm just trying to make money in both directions. So there you go. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Thank you for the super chat. Says, Zora, please, Frankie, if time. Let's take a look at Zora. Bada boom. Take a sip of the black coffee, which I probably shouldn't be drinking at this point in the day. All right, let's see here. All right. Ooh. Kind of a pretty chart, if I'm being honest. So let's see here. Got your nice little value area up here. Could go up, could go down. I'm just kidding. But it is very important, right? If you're only looking in one direction, you're going to get smoked in this game. I can promise you that. Any real trader will tell you, nobody knows if this thing is going up or down. The only thing you can do is collect your bullish case, your bearish case, and go with the probabilities, right? But let's see. I'm not going to have any information on the 2-day, I would assume. Yeah, no market cipher B information on the 2-day. Let's see. No real even 4-hour. It did get a little bit of a bull div there on the 4-hour over the weekend. That was that's nice to see. So you do have the bull div. I can't really take anything away from here on Market Cipher B, but I will say 2-day money flow trying to come up here into the green. What does this indicate? It indicates the continuation of the uptrend. Does not mean pullbacks are not likely, right? Why? Because price goes up and down and up and down, right? We're trying to identify the direction. I would say if you can keep this 2-day money flow creeping up towards that zero line, get the crossover into the green. Yeah, I wish I had more information here. This is a little bit difficult, but let's see, 45-minute, 80-minute money flow. I would have to assume the daily green dot is printing like everything else. So kind of hard to get a direct bias here based off market cipher, but assuming that daily green dot would be printing, that 90-minute money flow looks pretty good for a continuation up. And just naturally here, your biggest volume profile sits right here. Value area low sitting at 0.07299. This would be your doorway to higher prices. POC sitting at 0.0 or 7, almost 8 cents, 0.07849, and then your value area high sitting right here at 0.08909. So long term, right? If you can get that move up, keep this money flow coming into the green on the 2 hour, and assuming if we could see money flow on the 2 day, if it was in the green, again, I can't really say that it is, but if this is going to follow all the other altcoins with their 2 day money flow crossovers into the green, the overall anticipation would be a continuation of the upside. And then once you get to this value area low, that is your moment of truth. Resistance, value area high. That's what I would look for here on Zora. If we pull our full Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low, which would be right here by a penny or by a fraction of a penny. Next major levels of resistance, macro, golden pocket POC. 786, value area high. There you go. Right? So biggest levels of resistance. This is your doorway to higher prices. If you can get back up here, flip this to support, get above the POC golden pocket, push into the value area high. This is your line in the sand. Start popping out of this value area. Might be able to see cracks of the highs. You would always be interested in potential pullbacks from that deviation above the value area high, right? But if money flow is supporting the continuation of the uptrend, you would probably be looking for higher lows for an eventual breakout into new all-time highs, especially if it lines up with all of our macro thesis here, which would be final stage of the bull market, final grand finale, alt season happens, beautiful, everybody's happy. That would be the anticipation for me personally. But I wouldn't see, lower time frame here, money flow cooking to the upside here. So, yeah, that's what I would look for. Shout out to Zora. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Let's go. Shout out to Mortimer Duke. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, hey, yo, Frankie, when did we get Frankie Candles hoodies and T-shirts? Shout out to Mortimer. We actually did get a bunch of T-shirts in, so we will be, if we can hit some like goals this week, maybe we'll give away some T-shirts. We don't have hoodies yet, but we will give away some T-shirts if we can hit some like goals. Let's run it up. Next time we get 750 likes, we'll give away a bunch of T-shirts. And then, we'll have to work on a hoodie. We've been working on hoodies for like years now. We haven't gotten them yet. All right, let's see. Shout out to Paul. Says, any chance you can share your wisdom or use the crystal ball you don't have on Pudgy Penguins? Yeah, let's take a look at Pengu real quick. We actually looked at this on the premium live stream, so I will just kind of piggyback off what we were looking at, which is obviously this thing is going to zero. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. I just draw these lines to explain stuff. But actually pretty nice here on Pengu. What do we have? We have a golden pocket 786 retracement. This was our key level on Pengu that we were looking at. Deviation above the high. This is your expensive asset looking for acceptance back into your range. Once you can't break out of that value area high, the next likely place for price to go is where? The POC of the range. What do we get? Push into the POC. We have the golden pocket 786, which is an opportunity. Which is an opportunity to put in a higher low and then hopefully get the bigger breakout. However, we still have to wait for this money flow to shape up, guys. The money flow is the kind of like wrench in the system right now. We have it coming out on the higher time frames, up on the lower time frames, right? So shorter term, the continuation up could happen, right? But if it's only to put in a lower high before a lower low, it's just like the higher time frame money flow may play out. But the problem here is if we are approaching the area of the cycle that we believe, it could just get that shocker rip to the upside, right? So with that being said, beautiful tap of that 786. This is the level you want it to hold. If this is the higher low, I would anticipate a crack of structure to the upside to potentially push into our bigger retracement levels. However, if you cannot, right, the big thing that you have to do here is get above this value area high. Because if you get stuck inside this range, as long as you're below this value area high, the doorway to the POC is open. And I would say the line in the sand for much more downside here for Pengu, and by much more downside, I mean the value area low, which would be about a 30% dump from where we are right now, 28.79%, 786. Lose that 786 like we held it, which is exactly what you wanted. But if you do not get that to be the higher low for the breakage structure to the upside and you come back down and you break below that 786, you're also below the POC, which would open up the door to potentially come down to the value area low. Big, big, big level of support Honorable mention, you do have the daily MPOC sitting here at about 0.028782. So keep that on your chart. It's just hard, right? And the reason for that is because if you bounce off the daily MPOC, it's like you're coming up to the point of control, which is key resistance. That could send you down here. So you could look for a bounce there, but it's just difficult, right? Because you're coming up into key resistance. But right now, I would say the bounce off the 786 couldn't have been more picture perfect than that. Boop. Hopefully that's the high or low. And again, I would say like I would be able to give you like a high probability based off money flow, but you know, it's creeping up, but that red dot prints, it could just be a fake out, right? So we just simply have to sit on our hands and wait for that to develop. So yeah, value area high is your biggest key level resistance right now on Pengu. Pull it from the higher low. Yeah, and you do have this Fibonacci retracement as well. 786 golden pocket, you're tapping that right now. So I would say break out of there. Maybe you can get the bigger move up. But until we break out of this volume profile, you got to be a little bit suspicious. If you get the pop out, if you get the pop out of here, a little bada boom, bada bing, that 786 would be a nice place to bounce. But you got to get above that value area high. So that's what I'm looking at on Pengu. Shout out to Pengu. Like craziest recovery in the history of mankind. Oh, this is the next hot thing to zero. Wait, it's the next hot thing again. Crazy recovery there on Pengu. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat. Said, wait, what? Frankie Candles on Billy Goat Tales tomorrow night? Hashtag Givers Gain? Shout out to Dave Digital. I will be on Billy Goat Tales tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. Right after the live stream, we're going to swing right over to Billy Goat Tales, or Billy's X Space. Go check it out. We'll try to direct people over there tomorrow with a nice link. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's been a while. It's been too long. Shout out to Crypto Billy and Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Sui, yes. Shout out to Diaz. Yeah, we could check out Sui real quick. Where's our Sui chart here? I thought it was the Coinbase chart. Am I tripping? No, it's definitely not the Coinbase chart. I got a bunch of random dots here, though. Let's get rid of those. Heck is my Sui chart, guys? Heck is going on here? All right, no Sui chart? Hang on a second, guys. Mexi? Guys, we might have to make a new Sui chart. Could have sworn. Oh, okay. Oh, all the TA is hidden. Very interesting. I think this is it. That's going to get very messy. No, this isn't even it. Good Lord. Okay. I'll try Mexi. Last try. All right. Interesting. I don't know what happened on my Sui chart here, guys. That is so sad. But if anybody's trying to learn, you can kind of see me mark up this from 0. All right, so let's start off here on the weekly red dot printing. Again, this would be a general indication of some more potential downside. But again, when you look at your higher time frame money flow, 2-day money flow in the green, still looking for higher lows and higher highs here. Right? Nothing has been invalidated. We have not broken down any legitimate, like, super key levels of support that would indicate, like, the uptrend is less likely to continue. Wouldn't be until we lost that 786 here at about 274, where I would indicate that I would anticipate, excuse me, a take of the lows here for a much bigger drop down. So, you know, local support, if we do continue down, golden pocket, 786 Fibonacci retracement. Try to pull this as a full range here. Bada boom. All right. So, yeah, I would still just be viewing this as a volume profile unless this is just like a wonked out, like, POC retest, reclaim, send it back up. Daily money flow cruising back into the green, about to print a green dot. That doesn't look too bad. 2-day VWAP attempting to come back up. So, yeah, I would say to the downside here, right? If this, then that. If we come down here, 311 to 273 is the zone to look at. You have the value area low as backup support. So if you had to go down for that full retest of the fib, could be something like that. That would still be a valid place to get a bounce, in my opinion. It wouldn't be until you lose this range decisively, that and the 786 more specifically, to look for that bigger drop to the downside. So I'd still say excuse me, you have a significant amount of support down below, right? Or significant important support down below to put the higher low and the higher high, which would support the money flow being the green on the 2-day for the overall low, high, or low, high, higher low, higher high, right? Could you put it in early here? Potentially. I mean, you probably bounce off your local fib like we looked at before. Hit your local golden pocket. I mean, this could also be looked at as a key support zone as well, right? POC golden pocket retracement, but as we're already bouncing there, I'm just going to keep this down here. 311 to 273. Honorable mention with the value area low down there at 263. But again, if you continue down, this is the zone to look at. Break down below, bearish, get nice bullish confirmations, could be the higher low if it's not coming in right now. And again, very hard to say if the higher low is coming in here. 4-hour money flow, bing-bonging around here, attempting to come back up. 12-hour trying to come back up. But the question is that a lower high or is this a real true fake out on money flow? If you want this to be the low, you need this to be a massive fake out on money flow, which would be going against the TA, right? Because if this rolls over, it would just be a general trend to the downside. So that's what I'd be looking at on SUI. And I'm not going to bring up like all-time high predictions. Maybe I'll make a pre-recorded video on SUI for the all-time high predictions. But for now, you're within your volume profile. That's what we're looking at. Rejection at the high. Yeah, the bearish divergences. POC is likely. If you can't hold this, I'm looking down there. Lose this, well, then our thesis may be wrong, and we're not going to put in a higher low, and you're going to look for a massive dump to the downside. I still fall in the camp of higher lows and higher highs. So there we go. So, come on. Get out of here. Bada boom. But with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. Shout out to the M of Death. The M of Death. Shout out to whoever said that. Who said it? Who said it? Shout out to Nicholas Perry. Let's go. Yes, please make a SUI video. Yes, I'm going to try to make some more deep dives on the altcoins and price prediction videos like the Ethereum video, like the XRP video. And we will have ADA coming out shortly, guys. I think I'm just going to reshoot ADA only because I wanted to release that like in line with those other videos, but we got held up trying to edit it. So, I mean, it's all still valid. It's a long-term video, but it's actually the one reason I do want to upload what I have now is because I was filming it as we were pushing up here, and I talked about the pullback, right? Which would be really educational for people to understand. It's like, hey, guys, here's an all-time high prediction for Cardano. We're looking for new all-time highs, but be aware, we're coming up to resistance, and we can see aggressive pullbacks, but that would not change my longer-term thesis of eventually seeing new all-time highs to come. I mean, now that we're on Cardano, I'll just do a quick check-in here. Get rid of the brushes, right? Like I said, value area low of the previous range, store at higher prices. However, resistance until proven otherwise. We came up. We had some bearish divergences. Expected pullback. We front ran a lot of these full golden pockets. They all hit the golden pocket, pulled from the higher low, which is interesting. But this golden pocket does still stay down here, sitting between 67 and 65 cents. So if we put in a lower high and a lower low, this would be the next fib zone to look at between 67 to 65 cents, lose the golden pocket. That POC does 786 does sit about 60 cents. This would be the deepest. I would like to see that retracement if we do put in a lower high and a lower low. Don't really want to lose that 786. And we also looked at our local range here, which do I have that on the chart? No, I will just pull this fresh here. All right, we could pull this like this. You also have your value area low down here, which gives you nice confluence. So I really wouldn't want to lose this 786. That would be more bearish. But if we're looking for longer-term higher lows, if it's not coming in here on the POC and we come down more, very likely that these are the areas to look for the higher low. Hopefully this is it, right? But again, with the way Market Cipher looks a little chopped up right now, I have to be open at least to the possibility of putting in the lower high and the push down into that 786 golden pocket, right? Beautiful confluence on that value area low. Break down below here. Yikes. You risk getting accepted into that lower profile, which would call for much lower prices. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but pretty much right on time there for Cardano as well. Still plenty of room to put in higher lows and higher highs. I wouldn't look for the invalidation of my longer-term thesis until we start losing that 786. Doesn't mean we have to get down there, right? But that would be the invalidation. Could the higher low be in here? Possibly. But, again, a little hard to call with the way Market Cipher B looks, if that makes sense. Let's see. So before I Yo, shout out to Deer K2 says, give away some ADA, bro. I miss free ADA. Shout out to Deer. We've been giving away the free ADA on the Friday live streams, and we will be doing it again if we could hit some. Well, we'll be giving away ADA regardless. We give away ADA every single Friday. But if we hit some like goals, we'll give away $200. Maybe we'll just give it away in Cardano. We've been giving it away in Solana, but maybe we'll start giving it away in Cardano if that's what you guys want. But yes, we will be. I mean, we still do that every Friday, so stick around, bro. We'll be giving away some Cardano here on Friday. And looking at Bitcoin, if you guys just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get my full thoughts on Bitcoin. Still just general thought process here, guys. Long-term scenario, still in play here, right? Anticipated the pullback, literally called it perfectly. Even if we pull a little deeper in here, we have some key levels. Overall thought process here, whether this is the low or we have to go a little deeper, I will be looking for higher lows and higher highs to finish off the final stages of the bull market. Rate cuts, etc. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But with the way money flow looks right now on the 12-hour, right, we're just very suspicious here of this being a lower high. Hopefully, it's a fake out, and this can be the bottom. It would be a structural tap of these highs, which is valid. But if we come up and put in lower highs and lower lows, that would not scare me. I would just look deeper into this support zone that we've been looking at, which, again, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I give all the exact levels, not only to the downside, but also areas where we are likely to put in that lower high, because you bet your bottom dollar. If I get stopped out of my short and profit here and I see another setup up here, I will take another short and make money on the way down while we wait for this thing to figure itself out and then finally send it off into higher prices. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. Smash that like button on your way out. I actually do have to I have some important stuff to do, some really boring stuff to do. So no fake out tonight, but I will see you guys here tomorrow. Same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We called the dump. Can we call the pump? Well, it would sure be a lot easier if money flow wasn't chopped up. But I'll keep you guys updated here. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss our urgent live streams or market updates. And, yeah, if we get to 100K by the end of the year, I don't know what we'll do, but we're going to do something crazy. So with all that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Shout out to Jesse. Speedy recovery, guys. Shout out to Pyota. Shout out to Mortimer. Shout out to Perry. Shout out to Minaj. Shout out to Wix Wi-Fi89 and Wick 589. And don't forget, Billy Goat Tales tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'll be there. You should too. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go.